Hey everybody, it's Rod with VANGUNS coming back at you with another video. You may remember last month I did a video on the 7mm 08 cartridge. This is the rifle I bought, chambered in that cartridge, and today I'm going to tell you what I think of it. Hey guys, before I get into this rifle, please do me a favor, hit that like and subscribe button. It helps the channel. It helps push out the content so that other people can see the content as well. I'm going to give you nice, honest reviews here. I'm a small channel. I don't have ties to the big manufacturers, you know, so nobody's paying me to say good or bad things about any products. So I'm just trying to give you my experience, and I hope that it helps you in your experience. So hit that like and subscribe. I appreciate it. So the Ruger American Gen 2. It's a very popular rifle. Lots of reviews on this rifle out there. I wanted an inexpensive, lightweight rifle that I could take hunting in the local woods near my house here. Not on any big hunting trips where I might go to the east side of Washington, but right here in the coastal mountains. I also have a Tikka T3X chambered in 243 Winchester that I use for the same thing. This one's going to give me a little more oomph. And sometimes, if I got to take a longer shot, I think the 708 is going to do a better job than the 243, especially beyond 200 yards. A little more energy, really honestly better projectiles, better wind resistance, the whole bit. So anyhow, let's get into this Ruger. The gun was on sale at my local Bi-Mart store for $529. That's a great deal for this rifle. I'm going to say that right off the bat. I'm going to compare this rifle to rifles that cost nearly twice as much, and it compares reasonably well. I'm also going to point out some things about it that you might want to be aware of if you decide to buy one. Not anything majorly negative, but a few quirks about it that I think are worthy of talking about. This entire rig, with the scope, with this strap, everything, weighs 7.5 pounds. So it's much, much lighter than my bigger rifles, you know, my Weatherbys, my Ruger 77s. This is nice and light. Now, I didn't go fancy on this. This is a Vortex 44mm scope, 4 to 12 power. You can get these for under $200 all day long. Okay, this one was on sale for $169. I've got loopholed scopes on some of my better rifles, and the loopholes are a little better. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But for what they charge for these Vortex scopes, I mean, if you're looking for a decent optic at a really good price, it's kind of hard to beat Vortex because it is a pretty good quality product. You see $169 and you're thinking, this is going to be a piece of crap. No, it's a decent scope. It really is. So let's talk about the rifle. It's chambered in 7mm 08. And I'm going to go over some things on the gun. Loading, feeding, the fit and finish, the accuracy. I took it to the range, and I've got some things to report. Okay, let's take a look at this this rifle. First of all, I want to point one thing out about the finish. It's a really nice finish on this rifle, kind of a crinkly paint finish here, but it's not real durable. This happened just as I was pulling it out of the gun safe. I must have just brushed it up against something and it chipped that right off. So this is not what I would call a durable finish. It definitely wasn't like that out of the box because I looked over the rifle pretty closely. So I was a little disappointed in that. You know, it's a minor nitpick because, you know, I should have put it in a sock. But that being said, it's a very lightweight composite stock, and it has a little bit of style to it for being such a budget gun. To be honest with you, it's a better looking stock than my Tikka, which cost, you know, 65% more money. So this is about a 13.5 length of pull here. And you can take the spacer out and then reapply the recoil pad here, and it goes all the way down to a 12-inch length of pull. That'd be great for a youth shooter or a really, really small person. Also, Ruger on their shopruger.com site has additionally sized spacers, so you can actually customize this thing way more than you'd expect for a $500 rifle. So that's pretty cool. This is the recoil pad. It's a pretty darn good recoil pad. Again, $529, guys. This is a way better recoil pad than what Tikka puts on that T3 X Superlight. That's a nice recoil pad. This is 7mm 08, so it's not like it's a big kicking gun anyway. But, hey, the softer the gun hits your shoulder, the more accurate you're likely to be. This is a removable comb. Up here, it just kind of snaps off. Probably won't be able to do it while I'm holding the camera. So that kind of comes off. I had to use both hands to get it off, which is kind of good because you don't want this thing to just fall off out in the field. And then it just snaps in. You can see these little indentations here, and it just snaps right in place there. So gives you a little, I don't know, maybe a quarter, not quite a half-inch extra rise on there. I've left it on because I kind of like it. Moving down the rifle here, this is the safety. It is a 3-position safety. So right now the safety is in the 3rd position. Here the bolt is locked and the trigger's locked. I can't pull the trigger. Okay, so when I move it to the 2nd position right here, the trigger is still locked. I can't pull the trigger, but I can open the bolt. Okay, so that way you can unload the gun safely without any chance of a discharge. And 3-position safeties are really nice. Some people don't like them, but it is nice. It gives you the option on how you want the rifle to be safe. And then lastly, of course, is your fire position. Okay, so a nice 3-position safety. I don't mind safeties right up here, kind of sort of tang safety location there. That's fine. Let's talk a little bit about the bolt. Okay, so here's the action. Guys, the action runs pretty smooth. It's not Tikka smooth, but hey, $529, but it's nice and smooth. Ruger is famous for using Mauser-style controlled feed actions on their more expensive rifles. This is a push feed, 3-lug push feed action. It works fine. It's got a 70-degree bolt throw, which is pretty standard for rifles, and it works fine. I could have a much bigger scope on here and still have no clearance issues. So overall, the bolt is fine. But regarding the action, here was one of my little nitpicks. It's kind of a pain in the butt to manually feed this gun. And so, like when I'm out shooting at the range and sighting the gun in, I'm usually putting the rounds in one at a time. I'm not loading up the magazine. Okay, so here's the magazine. So you can't just push rounds straight in. Okay, that's kind of a pain in the ass. So I can't just top this gun off. You have to eject the magazine and kind of put them in back here and slide them back in. Now, that's not like it's not a deal breaker by any means, but it is kind of a bummer. What I then had to do is you lay the cartridge in here and it doesn't set on the feed ramp. You have to kind of tip it up and help it into the chamber. This is just for manually feeding. When you've got the magazine loaded and you're loading, I put maybe 60 rounds, 70 rounds through it yesterday. Every single time it fed, I never had a misfeed. So I don't want anyone to think that I had any misfeeds. I did not. It's just a little cumbersome to manually feed this rifle just because of the way the magazine's designed. Some magazines you can just put a round in there and just push your finger down and it'll pop right down into the magazine. Okay, so the trigger, guys, actually a pretty good trigger. Ruger calls this their marksman trigger. So it's got this little trigger safety. I'm not really a fan of trigger safeties, but this one does not get in the way at all. This trigger is right out of the box, and I did not adjust this trigger, is maybe a 3.5 pound pull. I might try to work with that a little bit, but it does not, other than this this trigger safety, which kind of acts as your take up, you're at the wall. There is no real take up on this thing. So you have to treat the trigger safety as your take up. You're up against the wall the minute that trigger safety is depressed. I actually had to get used to that because, but that's good. I mean, once I got used to, oh, there's no take up. Because you don't want to yank on a trigger. You don't want to pull the trigger. You want to gently squeeze the trigger. And when there's a little bit of take up, you kind of know when that wall's going to hit. And then that's when you gently squeeze the trigger. This one, you're just at the wall, like immediately. All right, so they got a nice Cerakote finish on this rifle. And I don't see any flaws in it. You've got this spiral fluted barrel here, and that's becoming more and more common even on reasonably priced guns. And then down here at the end, you've got a threaded barrel, and it comes with this 360-degree muzzle brake. In a 7mm 08 really doesn't need a muzzle brake, but this was a very soft shooting gun, largely because of that brake out front. But it's a good looking kind of a bronze Cerakote finish on there. It is free floated, not the best free float job you're ever going to see. Again, $500, guys. If you squeeze down here a little too tight, it's really hard to make contact with that. Some videos that I saw on this said that it was easy to make contact. Even with a bipod on the front, the lug is way back here where you would hook up a bipod. And from this point, yeah, there's some movement there, but I don't feel like it's making contact. So I think this whole thing where we squeeze on that, when I shoot a gun, I'm not squeezing the barrel and the thing that tightly. And the weight of the rifle is light enough that even with a bipod, I don't think you're going to have contact. One of the nice things about this gun is it came with this factory installed Picatinny rail up here. Again, when you're talking about a budget rifle, those little things matter. And so having that rail on there from the factory. Now, some guys don't like pick rails. They prefer to have proper scope rings, and I get that. But at this price point, having that rail is nice. It opens up a lot of options for what you're going to put up top here. Maybe you don't want a scope. Maybe you want to put a red dot. And when you see some of the chamberings that you can get in this rifle, you'll understand where some people might be using a red dot. Okay, so underneath here, this is the forward action screw. The action screw in the aft position here is underneath this magazine safety. So you have to pop this pin, pull this out, make sure the little spring in there doesn't go boinking out on you to get to that aft action screw. That's a little inconvenient. But, again, $500 rifle. The trigger guard is molded into the stock. If you crack this or break this, you're going to have to most likely replace the stock or find somebody that can do a composite repair. So that's kind of a bummer. But again, in this price range, not entirely uncommon. Okay, how'd the gun do at the range? Did pretty well. I ran almost 2 boxes of ammo. I ran Hornady's Precision Hunter with a 150 grain ELDX, and I also ran Hornady's Superformance with a 139 grain bullet. And the gun seemed to like the 139 grain better. And I think I ran enough rounds through it to confirm that. So let's take a look. So here's the box information from Hornady. They're claiming 2770 feet per second at the muzzle from a 24-inch barrel. My rifle is a 22-inch barrel. I was expecting about 2700 instead of the 2770, and here's my 7-shot average. I was a little disappointed in the lower number, but it was very consistent. That's 7 shots with a standard deviation of 10.1 feet per second. That's pretty good, Hornady. So I was setting this rifle up for maximum point blank range, which means I needed to get this thing at about 2 3/4 inches above the bullseye. The little red dot on the group on the right is when I got there. You can see these are reasonably tight groups, just a little over an inch on the first group, and that last group through one a little bit south there, and that group was about inch and a quarter. Okay, the next up was the Superformance 139 grain SST bullet. You can see the box info here, 2950 feet per second is what they said out of a 24-inch barrel. I figured again I was going to be 60, 70, 80 below that with the 22. Here's my numbers. Okay, again, a little bit less than I was expecting, but better than the 150 grains. And once again, Hornady's pretty consistent here. This was only a 3-shot measurement, but still nice and tight, nice and consistent. So the rifle seemed to like these 139s. That group right there was slightly under an inch. It was the best group. There was a couple other groups right at an inch and just a hair under as well with the 139. So that one it liked better. To sum it up, I'm pretty happy with these results. Again, this is an inexpensive rifle. You can get these under $600 and sometimes all the way down to $500. And to get 1-inch groups is even the 1.25-inch group, the one that kind of threw it a little wide. Those are decent groups, very good for hunting. You're probably not going to win the Creedmoor long range contest with it, but you know what? It works great for hunting. I'm pretty happy. So there you have it. The Ruger American Gen 2. For what they charge for this rifle, I think it's hard to get a better rifle. I mean, we're talking, again, I paid $529 for the rifle. It's a great deal for the money. Quirks and all, I can highly recommend this rifle, and they offer it in a lot of different chamberings. I'm going to put up a list of the chamberings you can get this rifle in and take a look at that. It's pretty impressive. Okay, so here we are on the Ruger website. I've got the Predator model, and this has got all your common hunting rounds. Take a look at this. 6.5 Creed, 243 Winchester, 6mm Creed, 308 Winchester, 7mm 08 Remington, 204 Ruger, 223 Remington, 350 Legend straight wall cartridge, 22 ARC, 6mm ARC, 270 Winchester, 30-06 Springfield, 300 Win Mag, 6.5 PRC, 450 Bushmaster, another straight wall cartridge, 7 PRC, 6.5 Grendel, and 400 Legend. But that's 3 straight walls in this gun. That's a pretty good selection. Thanks for watching. We'll be right back at you with another video right here on VanGuns.